Hi, y'all, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back or welcome to another weekly horoscope. I am so excited for this week because it is like a closing out of all of the chaos and turmoil we have had over the last week. If you saw my video for last week, you know, it was going to be a wild week, and it was, in fact, a very wild week. This week, is a continuation of the same with a lot more harmony, a lot more chance for positive miracles to come from the chaos, from the turmoil. I think this is really where we're going to see things, a change start to take hold, and we're going to see a cycle really starting to close out finally. So we can move into the new. So a quick overview, I'm using my trusty astrological planner. It's linked in the description for this overview of these transits. So today, actually on the 18th, we have Jupiter sextile Chiron. We have a lot of sextiles and some trines this week. That is why I say there's going to be challenges and conflicts, but there's also going to be that harmony. There's also going to be that chance to see it from a really positive frame of mind, and to also experience the positives of whatever this change or these challenges are bringing up for us. So on the 20th, Tuesday, the sun moves into Gemini. It sextiles Saturn before it does that, because Saturn is currently at 29 degrees of Pisces all week before it moves into Aries, which I'm so excited about. And I just posted another video about Saturn return if you want to go check that out to know if you're going to be in your Saturn return or not yet, depending on your Saturn placement, if it is in Aries. And I'll be posting more videos about that later in the week as well. Then on the 22nd, we have Venus trine Mars, but we're going to have Venus trine Mars all week. So again, this is why I was saying there's going to be harmony and positive things that come from all this chaos that Uranus is really bringing us before it moves into Gemini. Uranus is on its last hurrah of Taurus, even though it is going to go retrograde and move back into Taurus later in the year. I have a class on that on the 2025 transits, an overview in my Inner Circle membership. But anyways, we are getting kind of a last hurrah of Uranus and Taurus before it moves into Gemini. And then on the 24th, we're going to have the sun trine Pluto. We're going to have Saturn move into Aries that day, and we're going to have Mercury conjunct Uranus on that day as well. So I went into these deeper in the overview, the general overview of the weekly transits. I posted my TikTok. The link is in the description. I use my fun astro board for that to give you a visual of the planets and where they will be. But really, we're going to see a lot of wrapping up this week. And then on the 25th, we have, which I believe is, Sunday, we're going to have Mercury enter Gemini. So there's a lot moving into Gemini, right? There's a lot moving signs this week, and really amplifying the need to close out things and to move forward with things, to begin new with things. I just posted an audio about Saturn and Neptune conjunction in my VIP Inner Circle. It's really gonna call for people to what is that phrase? I said it a lot in the audio and now I can't remember. Face the music. That's really what I see Saturn and Neptune bringing to us in general as a collective. It's really going to be time to face the music for those that have been manipulative or avoidant or dismissive or negligent. Very Neptune energy, right? Saturn in Pisces doesn't want to face the music. Saturn in Pisces wants to avoid, wants to dismiss, wants to not face things, right? Not be disciplined or responsible or accountable for things. But Saturn moving into Aries and on Neptune is we can't avoid what we need to take accountability and responsibility for anymore. So that is really what it's going to bring, and that's why I named this video the reality check, because we're going to start to see that build this week, especially when Saturn moves into Aries and gets really close to Neptune on Saturday. So that's the overall energy of the week. I mean, like I said, it's really time to face the music. So let's get into the weekly horoscopes. We're going to start with Aries as always. Okay, so Aries Rising, we are going to see a really big shift in your money this week, Aries. If there's been something you've been wanting to make money from or change about your finances or your resources or your possessions, you're really going to see that come to a head this week. You're really going to make those changes or realize what needs to be changed, especially Monday and especially over the weekend, as we're going to have Mercury conjoining Uranus in your second house. There could be a big mental breakthrough or a big mental shift around all of those things. But to start off the week, you're going to have tension between Mars and the moon in your 5th and 11th houses. There might be some friction between a friendship, a community thing, and a creative passion or something that you're putting out into the world, maybe related to spiritual pursuit or a new sense of self, a new identity that you're stepping into. I mean, just keep doing it, right? Just keep taking the inspired action to do it because it is supported. It is going to be a payoff, but there might just be some frustration or challenge emotionally on Monday or Tuesday around that. And then on Wednesday, I feel like you're going to be kind of hermiting Wednesday, Thursday as the moon moves into Pisces in your 12th house. You could be just, sitting on your meditation cushion, doing yoga, going out into nature to get more clarity around things, to get more clarity around what's beginning in your life, maybe even clarity around your identity, your appearance, your sense of self, and what is changing there, and what this creative passion or pursuit is supporting in terms of that. On Wednesday as well, you're going to have the sun move into your 3rd house. So there's going to be a big focus on where you're going on a daily basis, who you're talking to, what you're doing. But that might feel later in the day on Tuesday like it's at odds with your mental health kind of thing. Thursday, you might get more emotional clarity around that and how you want to move forward on that, even if it feels like it's at direct odds with some expansion that you want in your community or where you're going on a daily basis or anything like that. Again, there's positives that come from these challenges, and you're going to start to see that as we get more into the week. Friday, the moon moves into your 1st house, so you could be feeling more sensitive, more emotionally focused on yourself, on what you're doing, on how you're stepping into a new version of you, the new chapter that you're beginning, etc. That could be supported later in the day on Friday as well through the creative passion or pursuit that you're launching or sharing with the world or taking action towards. On Saturday, there could be some wound that's triggered in terms of your appearance, your sense of self, or something like that. That Saturn moving into Aries is really going to have you face in a big way and really have you kind of come to a reality check around, whether that's like really dealing with body dysmorphia or really dealing with like, okay, I feel my best when I dress like this or when I do my hair like this or whatever it is, or when I act like this or when I do this type of workout. It's really about facing the music as it relates to you, your identity, your sense of self, your appearance. Then later in the day on Saturday and into Sunday, the moon will be moving into your 2nd house, again putting the emotional focus on your finances, your money, what you're doing there, how you're bringing it in new ways, maybe what you're doing with it, etc., etc. And again, like I said earlier, in your horoscope, there could be some mental breakthrough around that Saturday and Sunday as well in terms of your possessions, your finances, your money. So that is the week ahead for you, Aries. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Taurus, this is going to be a really big change of your sense of self, your identity this week, maybe stepping into a completely new chapter of who you are. That could look like becoming a mother, becoming a wife, or becoming, there's some big identity shift that is happening for you, becoming a content creator, whatever it is. It's like, this is the time. It is really shifting and the new is really taking hold. I feel like this is directly related to your home, your family, and your career as well. So there could be some tension between all of those things that are propelling you to step into a new identity. Tuesday, the moon continues to move through your 10th house of career, public reputation, and it challenges Uranus and the sun in your 1st house. So again, Monday and Tuesday are really about feeling challenged to step into some new identity and really evolve in a really big way. Tuesday and Wednesday, the moon moves into your 11th house. So there could be a surgence of community or support from friends that comes for you that kind of helps you with this shift. That really supports you in just feeling more confident or embodied in making this shift. The sun is also going to move into your 2nd house this day. So this is going to be about really focusing on your money, really focusing on your finances and what is coming up around that and through that. That might be related to the identity shift that you are making. Yeah, really big changes in all of these areas for you right now. Then on Thursday, that could also be amplified, but there could be some expansion or change you want to make in your money that feels like it's at odds with your community or your ability to show up in your community on social media or anything like that. There could be some tension between what you want to do and what you're like able to do. It feels like there's a lot of like conflict between that. Hold on, I'm trying to bring up the live chat. Okay, I'm multitasking here. So anyways, Thursday, there could be some friction between your community and your money. Maybe a creative idea as well that you want to take action on. It feels like there's just challenges around. There's friction there. On Friday, the moon moves into your 12th house. So there could be some spiritual breakthrough later in the day on Thursday or Friday that really prompts you to take a look at your mental health in some way or to be on your spiritual practices maybe more than you ever have before. That is related to what came up earlier in the week. On Saturday, the moon is going to conjoin Chiron in your 12th house. So again, there could be some mental wound or trigger that comes up related to this identity shift or related to everything that's come up earlier in the week. There could also be a mental breakthrough. I almost was going to say mental breakdown, but the breakdown always comes before the breakthrough. So, that could be relevant early on Saturday or maybe even later on Friday, depending on where you are in the world and your sleep patterns. But it does feel like there's some deep emotional wound that gets cleared right before Saturn moves into Aries, into your 12th house. And there's really this reality check around your mental health and your spiritual practices that are contributing to your overall livelihood, your overall quality of life, really. So there could be some really big breakthrough and shift around that over the weekend. And I feel like that's going to be the major theme of Saturn and Neptune conjunction for you is, how are you staying on your spiritual practices because they're really contributing to a positive quality of life and changing, the changes you want to make, especially as it relates to your family, your home. It's all kind of, supporting each other there. So, and then on Saturday and into Sunday as well, the moon is moving through your first house. So you could be feeling more sensitive, more emotionally focused on you and nurturing and caring for yourself in ways that you need based on everything that happened earlier in the week. So that is the week ahead for you, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates and I'll see you next week. Okay, Gemini Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 9th house opposite Mars in your 3rd house. So there could be some big shift in your location and what you're doing on a daily basis that maybe feels like, okay, it's creating emotional tension for you, but it is really shifting how you view life in a positive way and kind of having you evolve your perspective. There could also be really big shifts and breakthroughs in terms of your spiritual health, in terms of your mental health, and really having a dedicated structure around your spiritual practices. Or if you are a spiritual practitioner, that kind of thing, having like a schedule or having some sort of structure that you can adhere to that's going to help you do what you want to do. Then on Tuesday, the moon moves into your 10th house into Pisces. So there could be some emotionally creative thing that you're sharing, that you get ideas around, that you want to do, that you want to share with the world. And then on Wednesday, when the sun moves into your first house, I feel like you're really going to be just feeling yourself a lot more and really focused on you a lot more and like, okay, what do I want to do? What boundaries do I need to set to be able to do that kind of thing? What needs to be released in my family or my home life that hasn't been serving me, or what needs to be put in place, their boundaries, etc. In order to have what I need to have in terms of me and what I'm doing in my career. There's a lot of harmony between, your kind of daily routine, setting up a schedule for yourself, and maybe as it relates to showing up on social media or for your community, for your friend groups as well. That is like really, all of these things are going to support in a big way. Then on Thursday, the moon moves over the North Node and Saturn in your 10th house, really amplifying all that stuff. There might be a major release or conversation that's had around whatever came up for you earlier in the week. And there could be an emotional tie to that too, an emotional release or breakthrough that happens related to that. On Friday, later in the day, on Thursday and into Friday, the moon is moving through your 11th house into Aries. There's going to be this emotional support, maybe from somebody in your friend group, somebody on social media, somebody in your community, that's maybe going to help you do what you need to do and to maybe like kind of hold you accountable to the schedule that you've maybe needed to have been needing to create or have but have been putting off. There could be some harmony around that kind of discipline and accountability in that way. On Saturday, later in the day on Friday, maybe there could be some emotional trigger or wound that comes up as well through social media or through community, that kind of helps you to shift a lot of these things that have been coming up all week, and to step into them in a new way. And then there could be some mental breakthrough revolving around that too, as Mercury and Uranus join up in your 12th house. There could be some breakthrough around your mental health or your spiritual practice or something like that, and needing to just be more disciplined with them and committed to them. Then Saturn will move into your 11th house, so it's going to be kind of time to come to reality around that structure, that system that needs to be in place, so you are showing up and sharing your gifts and the ways that you maybe have been avoiding or procrastinating. Like, I feel like it's really going to call you this weekend to do that in a major way. And then later in the day on Saturday and into Sunday, the moon moves into your 12th house, again, putting that focus on your mental health, your spiritual practices. You might be, taking some time away for you to be able to do that, to get more clarity as well, in a way that really supports the transformation that's happening and emerging for you. So that is your week ahead, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Cancer Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 8th house, opposite Mars in your 2nd house. This could bring up some stuff around money on Monday. Maybe just what you're doing with it, how you're saving it, how you're making it kind of thing. There could feel like there's tension around that. Maybe between like you doing your own thing and working for someone else, there's like conflict or tension. But it does feel like it's bringing up what it needs to in order for there to be a positive change and evolution. On Tuesday, the moon is going to square off with Uranus and the sun in Aquarius before it moves into Pisces and into your 9th house. So there could be a big breakthrough around that, maybe later in the day on Monday or early Tuesday. That really prompts for that shift to take hold, or you get sudden clarity around what you want to do and how you want to make that happen. There is a lot of harmony between your career and your money. So it's like, it's just time to start taking action towards whatever this new thing is and trust in the process of it. As the moon is moving through Pisces in your 9th house, there could be a big perspective of life shift as well, a big creative breakthrough or something like that. Then on Wednesday, the sun is going to move into Gemini in your 12th house, putting the focus on your spiritual practices, your mental health, what really needs to happen inside of you to support the changes that are happening outside of you. That could be amplified on Thursday as the moon moves over the North Node and Saturn in your 9th house, really calling for you to maybe release an outdated idea of what it means to be successful, or an old communication pattern or people-pleasing tendency. Maybe even releasing something about like whatever you're doing on a daily basis. There could be something that you're like, you know what, I don't really want to go there anymore. I'm going to find a new place to go, or whatever it is. There's some major shift around your belief system, your communication, and also like where you're going and who you're talking to on a daily basis. Then on Friday, the moon moves into your 11th or your 10th house, into your area of career, and it harmonizes with Venus and Mars. So there, again, like I said, there's going to be this creative burst or this emotional burst of creativity that supports what you're doing to make money, or supports a new venture for money for you. Later in the day on Thursday and also into Friday is when it really peaks, maybe middle day on Friday. You're really going to have this creative inspiration or idea to just do something differently. It might even be creating a social media account that supports this new career venture, side hustle, or whatever it is. But on Saturday, there could be some wound or trigger that's brought up around that as the moon moves over Chiron. Something that kind of has you to look at the deep-seated things underneath this, maybe belief systems, childhood conditioning, things like that. Also on Saturday, Saturn moves into your 10th house. Again, reality check around what you're doing in your career. And maybe like how you're sharing it with people too. If maybe you've been tiptoeing, like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I want to do this, but I don't know, blah, blah. It's kind of like you got to face the music on Saturday. Maybe even into Sunday as well, of like what you want to do here and how you're taking action towards it. But there could be some friction, like I said, between like where you're headed with this and the belief systems, the subconscious that is at play. But it is supported for you to make a transformation as it relates to that, because the sun will be harmonizing with Pluto And then later in the day on Saturday, the moon moves into your 11th house. Maybe you will have a conversation with a friend that helps you to break through any blocks or subconscious limiting beliefs, things like that. It feels like there's emotional support through your friends, your community, maybe even social media as well. And a mental breakthrough that happens around all of that too, maybe related to the support you're receiving from outside of you. So that is the week ahead for you, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Leo Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 7th house. There could be some tension between you and somebody else in your life, whether it's a partner, romantic interest, a friend. It's just maybe they're coming at you from a kind of an emotional kind of place, and just pick your battles. Pick your battles, because there could be an emotional kind of heightened thing that happens between you and somebody else on Monday. Then on Tuesday, the moon's going to move into your 8th house, putting the focus on your resources, your own vulnerability as well. So you might really be focused on making some big change in your career that is related to a spiritual passion or creative passion. And you're getting more emotional clarity around how you want to make that change on Tuesday and really into the middle of the week. Really, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's going to be a lot more clarity that comes to you around whatever this is. Even if it might cause some friction or tension in other areas of your life, it's like, I really want to do this and I'm going to take action on it, right? There might be a lot of changes happening within your career as well. That might be where the chaos was last week. That's going to be kind of amplified on a mental level this week, maybe shifting a lot of your limiting beliefs around that, and what's going on in your mental space around your career. On Wednesday, the sun moves into your 11th house, putting the focus on your community. On other people in your life, what you're doing on social media or who you're connecting with on a daily basis. You might be feeling more social. There might be a big just focus and illumination of your community, your friendships, as the sun is moving through your 11th house for Gemini season. Then on Thursday, the moon moves into your 9th house and over Neptune. So you might get some big clarity around how you're viewing life, around a belief system that maybe has been coming up for you, and like you've been working on shifting and setting new intentions around for quite some time, for maybe several years. That is supporting some type of shift in your identity or something you're taking action on that's new in terms of your sense of self. That could be further supported on Friday as the moon is moving over Venus and harmonizing with Mars in your 1st house. It feels like there's maybe also supportive people around you that are helping you make this change, that are helping you step into your new identity, your new sense of self. Maybe you're traveling and meeting people, and you're just feeling really like more yourself in doing so. Then on Saturday is really where the big shifts come around all of that. There could be something earlier in the day on Saturday that triggers an emotional wound around your belief system, or just around something that maybe was conditioning from childhood or something like that. But that prompts for some mental breakthrough in your career and in what you're doing for work, or your public image in some type of way. Maybe releasing a form of making money that just hasn't aligned with you, and you're just like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. I need to change it, and you're facing the music around that. Then on Sunday, you have the moon moving through your 10th house. That will start later in the day on Saturday. So again, putting this emotional focus on your career. Saturn and Neptune now are joining up in your 9th house. So there's some big need to have a reality check around the way that you're viewing life, and the way that what you're believing gets to be true about yourself and your life moving forward. It might be related to your career and this new sense of self that you're stepping into. So that is the week ahead for you, Leo. Let me know how that resonates, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Virgo, we start the week off with the moon in your 6th house. You might be really busy with work, and it might really be pulling on your spiritual practices, on your mental health. There might just be a lot going on emotionally too, in terms of what you're doing on a daily basis for work, or your health could also be at play with that too. On Tuesday, the moon moves into your 7th house, putting the focus on other people in your life, putting the focus on your relationships. I mean, there's been a lot of chaos happening for you in terms of like your philosophies of life, your belief systems, maybe what you're learning to study, or what you're starting to want to teach with people. There's been a lot of like, okay, how do I go about this? I want to do this, but there's also so much chaos happening in like your external reality. and with your career and with there's just so much going on. And it's almost like, how do I organize this? Like, what do I do with this? And I feel like you might have some helpful support through friends. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, as the moon is moving through your seventh house, there might just be some helpful conversations you have or some helpful people that come in to give you advice that's like beneficial for you in some way. Then on Wednesday, the sun moves into your 10th house, amplifying the focus on your career. So Gemini season for you is a really big time of taking action towards new things in your career, of just, I feel like you're going to be really busy with work. And I feel like there's going to be some real big need to transform how you're going about it, maybe getting more disciplined with a schedule or routine or something like that, because things are just so busy, and it's almost like it feels like you're spinning out of control, and there needs to be some grounding core. There needs to be some organization around it so that you lessen that feeling of having too much on your plate. Then on Thursday, the moon moves into your 8th house. So that could put an emotional focus on your finances, your resources, paying off debt, dealing with taxes, things like that. And that is kind of supporting you in, or your mental health practice or your spiritual practices are supporting you and making a change there that's positive. But really, as Saturn moves into this area of your life too, it's kind of time to face the music. It's time to make those needed structural changes in your belief system in terms of like what gets to be true for you about money, and maybe realizing you need to work smarter, not harder in a lot of ways, and maybe even take some things off your plate that just financially aren't worth it, and focus on the things that are truly financially worth it. That's going to be supported on Friday as the moon moves over Venus and harmonizes with Mars in your 12th house. There could be some mental breakthrough, some mental clarity or shift around that too that comes through over the weekend. That is just kind of like, oh, this new belief system, this way of seeing things differently here is really taking hold, really starting to make sense. It's really starting to emerge. And bring you the clarity that's been needed, that maybe just has felt like kind of far away, but it's starting to feel a lot closer as we get up on the weekend. And again, like I said, with Saturn moving over Neptune in your 8th house, it's like you can't avoid these responsibilities anymore, and a lot of them stem from the way you're thinking about things and what you're believing about things. Maybe even overwhelming yourself with being accountable for them or responsible for them when that's not even the truth, the ultimate truth around it. Then on Saturday, right before Saturn moves into your 8th house, the moon's going to move into your 9th house, putting that focus on your belief systems again. Mercury is right up on Uranus on Saturday. I mean, there's big shifts on Saturday. The sun is also harmonizing with Pluto, so big transformation is supported at this time. And it might feel like there's challenges between your work and your relationships, and maybe not being able to prioritize them in the way that you need to. But again, I feel like this all comes down to like how you're scheduling your life and just having a better grounding system when it comes to your routine, your schedule, things of that nature. That could be, further amplified in an emotional way on Sunday as the moon challenges Mars in your 12th house. There could be like a really big need to shift how you're viewing things around you, and make the necessary physical changes to support the mental changes that have been, or the spiritual changes that have been coming up for you. So that is the week ahead for you, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Libra, we start the week off with the moon in your 5th house, opposite Mars in your 11th house. There could be some, tension or friction with your friendships, that maybe, or your community that really feels like it's at odds with a creative passion or pursuit or romantic interest or something like that, be able to pursue that in the way that you want to. There could be some emotional frustration that happens earlier on Monday around that. But the breakthrough will come later on Monday when the moon challenges your 8th house in the Sun and Uranus conjunction that's happening there. Then on Tuesday, the sun moves into your 9th house and the moon moves into your 6th house. There could be, again, more challenges or conflicts between what you're able to do on a daily basis for work and what's happening outside of you, what's happening externally. It could all come down to a belief system as well. Like you could realize, like, I really need to change how I'm viewing this. This is something that's actually helpful for me. This is actually something that's kind of forcing me to be accountable and responsible in the ways that I need to, but it doesn't, it's not comfortable. It doesn't feel super easy to deal with in the moment, but it ultimately is beneficial for you. Then on Wednesday, the moon continues to move through Pisces. As Mercury gets closer to Uranus, and the North Node is squaring Jupiter in your ninth house. So again, there could just be some tension between, you know, what you're doing on a daily basis, maybe needing to get more clear about your schedule or the systems in place you have to take care of everything so things don't fall off. Feels like life got really busy all of a sudden, and you might not have had the right structures or systems in place to account for that. And so it's like, okay, well, how do I organize all of this? How do I structure all this in a way that's going to benefit me? But there is a lot of harmony as well. You know, that there is that conflict and those challenges, but there is a lot of harmony as well from your friendships, your community. So there might be some helpful people that are around to support you. There might be some romantic interest as well that are coming in for you, Libra, too, this week. Then on Thursday, the moon moves into your seventh house again, putting the emotional focus on your relationship. So there might be a lot of helpful conversations you're able to have with other people that give you some clarity around things on Thursday and into Friday. Especially on Friday, as the moon moves over Venus, your chart ruler, and harmonizes with Mars, your seventh house ruler. So there could be some new people that you're meeting, or you know, just some helpful people that come out of the woodwork to really support you in the ways that you've been needing and didn't realize you really needed. And there might be some things that is causing a shift of your belief systems, a shift of, you know, how you're viewing life, resources, money, finances too. And all of that is really being supported through this transit. Saturday is a really big day. Earlier in the day on Saturday, the moon's going to move over Chiron. So there could be some trigger or wound that comes up through a relationship or through somebody else in your life that maybe you had high hopes for or something. And it's like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was, kind of thing. And it prompts for you to really look at an emotional trigger and release it. But that could cause a breakthrough in terms of your resources, you know, your finances and vulnerability and intimacy in general. And then later in the day on Saturday, Saturn is going to move into your seventh house. This could really cause a need for there to be accountability and responsibility taken from other people in your life. If you've been especially dealing with people who are avoidant or just not communicating clearly, being negligent in some way, you're really going to see them be forced to take accountability, to take responsibility for whatever has been happening. It's really going to show up a lot in your relationships, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction we have most of the summer. And we're going to see the beginnings of it this weekend. Also on Saturday, the sun is harmonizing with Pluto, so there could be some big shift around your perspectives of life that supports a creation of a passion project, a creative passion in some way, that is also supported this weekend with all that's happening. And it might transform to how you're viewing money or how you're viewing resources and things of that nature in your life too. So that is the week ahead for you, Libra. Let me know how that resonates, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Scorpio Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your fourth house opposite Mars in your 10th house. There could be some friction or tension between your home, your family, and what you want to do in your career on Monday. That really prompts for a reevaluation of all of those things. Maybe prompts for a conversation you need to have with somebody to come to a resolution around that. Then on Tuesday, the moon moves into your fifth house. I feel like you're going to be feeling really creative through whatever this happened. It might inspire you to create content in some way. It might inspire you to be more creative, to be sharing your passions in a way that maybe you've been putting off or neglecting, that kind of thing. Also on Tuesday, the sun will move into your eighth house. So putting that focus on your resources and what you're doing to create more resources for yourself. On Wednesday, the moon moves over the North Node and Saturn in Pisces in your fifth house. So again, there's kind of this need to really take action towards a creative passion or pursuit that maybe you've been neglecting or putting off. On Thursday, the moon moves into your sixth house over Aries, amplifying that. I feel like that's going to be the big focus of the week for you, Scorpio, is how are you taking action towards what you want to do in your career, towards what you want to do for work. That's maybe different than what you have been doing. And it's going to require, you know, some transformation in your home or your family, but you are supported in making it happen, whether it's through outside resources or maybe you've already been taking the action and there's somebody coming in through that and it supports this change. You know, don't get caught up in or bogged down by the conflicts, because there is support in making this happen happen for yourself, and you're going to see that as the week progresses. On Friday, the moon moves over your Venus and harmonizes with Mars in your 10th house. So everything I just said will be amplified on Friday. You might receive the support you need, or you just might feel more emotionally clear around how to take this action and make this change in your career. The transformation you want to make is very supported, and that's really going to come to light as we progress through the week, especially over the weekend. On Saturday, the moon moves into your 7th house as Saturn moves into your 6th house. Again, time to have this reality check around what you're doing for work and really be taking the steps towards it. Really hold yourself accountable to doing it, to taking action on it if you haven't been already, because it's really supported right now, even through the conflicts and the challenges. They might even be boosting what you're doing in some way. There could be some breakthrough that happens through somebody else in your life on Saturday as well, whether this is like somebody else coming to you and apologizing for whatever happened, or something like that. It's like there's this big shift that takes you by surprise in terms of communication from somebody else in your life. Then on Sunday, the moon challenges Mars in your 10th house. So again, it might feel like that brought up some things you didn't realize were there. But it is, again, supporting this change in how you're taking action in terms of your career and what you're doing for work. Like it is supported at this time, especially if it's spiritual, transformative, Scorpio-esque work, right? You're really being asked right now to step into this new direction as it relates to your creative passions and spiritual pursuits. So that is the week ahead for you, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Sagittarius, we start the week off with the moon in your 3rd house, opposite Mars in your 9th house. There could be some emotional conversation that has to take place on Monday that's not super comfortable. It could start as an argument or something that, maybe is a bit aggressive feeling through your work or through, I don't know, something about somebody maybe you deal with on a daily basis that's related to like your work or a spiritual teacher or something like that. There could be some conversation that's needed that maybe starts off in an aggressive, emotional nature that you didn't expect on Monday. On Tuesday, the moon moves into your 4th house as the sun moves into your 7th house. There could be some tension at first on Tuesday between your home life and a relationship. But I do feel like as the sun moves through your 7th house, you're going to be a lot more focused on your relationships and on other people. Maybe you've been hermiting a lot and working a lot during Taurus season, and Gemini season is going to kind of lighten that up and bring your focus to other people, networking, maybe to have more support or make this change that you've wanted to make in your work or your career, how you're sharing that with the world, and maybe you've been putting it off. But whatever this sudden change was kind of has supported it, and you're starting to see it that way this week. Wednesday, especially on Wednesday, as the moon moves over the North Node and Saturn and Pisces in your 4th house, there could be some clarity that comes through your home or your family around whatever this is, that maybe prompts for just an acceptance of something you're releasing in your career and something new you may be stepping into. There could be an identity shift that's needed too in order to do that. Maybe a release of stubbornness around something, and really just accepting that this is what the universe is calling you to do, even if it's like not something that you would necessarily think to do for yourself or on your own. It's like this is what the universe has for you, and it's pushing you in some direction, and there's maybe some acceptance that's needed around that. That might be a big theme of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction taking place starting Saturday in your 5th house of creative passions. There's some need to have a reality check around what you're doing spiritually, how you're sharing it with the world in a way that maybe you've been, putting off and not wanting to step up to the plate around. Okay, let's see. On Thursday, yep, that could be amplified as the moon moves over Neptune in your 5th house. Venus and Mars are harmonizing between your 5th and 9th houses all week. So there's this need to really shift maybe your belief systems around things, or just shift how you're viewing things as it relates to what you're doing to share your creative passion with the world. Then on Friday, the moon adds harmony to that Mars trine and just amplifies what I just said about needing to maybe make a shift in your belief systems, your perspective of life, how you're viewing everything. There could be a wound that comes up around this early on Saturday or late on Friday that maybe triggers something and you didn't realize was there around this new beginning in your creative passions or pursuits. But I feel like also this weekend is there's a mental breakthrough that is going to be supported as well around your work and what you're doing on a daily basis to share your gifts with the world. Also on Saturday, this is when Saturn is going to move. Well, Saturn is moving into Aries on Saturday. So this is going to bring about, a reality check in terms of your creative passions, a new beginning you're taking there. And like I said, could be supported through a mental just clarity, breakthrough, sudden change, innovation, insight, download that comes around what you're doing on a daily basis for work and how you're taking action towards it. Then on Sunday, that could further be supported as the moon moves really close to Uranus and Mercury moves into Gemini. There could be some ideas that you get through socializing or networking around whatever this is, and you just get further clarity around taking action towards it and making it happen. And again, the acceptance of like, this is what I really need to do. So that's the week ahead for you, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Capricorn, we start the week off with the moon in Aquarius in your second house opposite Mars in your eighth house. There could be something emotionally that comes up around money, your resources, maybe a positive breakthrough that happens from inspired action on your part kind of thing. That could support a big change in your creative passions or pursuits. It could be like, I want to launch this thing when I thought I wanted to launch this thing. And actually this thing that I just am inspired to launch and I'm taking that action from a place of trusting my intuition is actually what's going to bring in the money right now versus what I thought was going to bring in the money, right? There could be some big breakthrough or shift around that. Monday, later in the day, on Tuesday, the moon moves into your third house into Pisces as the sun moves into your sixth house. So again, these big shifts in how you're sharing, communicating yourself as it relates to work, what you're doing for work. I feel like in Gemini season, Capricorn, you're going to be really busy on a daily basis with what you're doing for work and maybe focused on your health and socializing in ways that really support this change and really support this breakthrough. Then on Wednesday, that's going to be further supported by the moon moving over the North Node and Saturn and Pisces, also squaring off with Jupiter. So it could be like there's this thing I really want to do, and I'm getting all these ideas to do these things, blah, 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 but I just don't know how to share them. I don't know how to communicate them, and there's a need to ground. Maybe even talk with somebody or ChatGPT to help you come up with a structure and a plan for how to do all these things. In a way that's not going to make you feel scattered or like you're going crazy, but in a way that's actually going to be harmonious. Thursday, the moon moves into your fourth house, so there could be some emotional shift or breakthrough around your home, maybe something that has been conflicting in your home or your family life that's been causing issues. There could be some emotional breakthrough later in the week around that. You are being supported by your resources. You are being supported financially in this shift in your home, and it's just don't get too caught up in your mind or your emotions around it. Like, have your grounding practices so that you don't go crazy. It might even be something that's promoting more creativity for you, and you might see that on Friday as the moon moves over Venus and harmonizes with Mars. Again, there could be like the creative juices could be really flowing around whatever's happening in your home and your family, and you're like turning it, you're spinning it into gold. Like, it might be a shitty situation, but you're spinning it into something that is really benefiting you short term and long term. Friday into Saturday, there could be some mental shift around a creative passion or pursuit. And, it's going to be really time to face the music too around whatever's happening in your home, whether that's, setting boundaries with people as needed or, your family or something like that. Maybe whatever's going on in your home and has been, that's felt really frustrating to deal with. Like there's going to be accountability and responsibility that needs to be taken, either through you or somebody else on Saturday. Then the moon will also be in your fifth house, putting some emotional boost to your creative passions and pursuits. What else do we have? Oh, Mercury is on Uranus Saturday as well. So again, there could be some breakthrough, innovative idea that you get around a creative passion and pursuit too, and how to share it with the world, how to take action on it. Also on Saturday, there's a lot going on Saturday. The sun in Gemini is harmonizing with Pluto in your second house. So whatever this idea is that you're sharing, that you're taking action on, it could be really financially beneficial to you. Then on Sunday, Mercury moves into your sixth house, maybe amplifying that need to share whatever this is, or to launch it, or to create the structures to do it, to share it. There could be some emotional breakthrough around all of that, as well as the moon moves over Uranus in your fifth house later in the day on Sunday too. So that is the week ahead for you, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Aquarius, we start the week off with the moon in your first house, putting tension on Mars in your seventh house. There could be some emotional conversation that happens with a family member or through somebody else in your life that really just feels destabilizing, that really feels maybe more aggressive than it needs to on Monday. Excuse me. Oh my God. There could be some need for you to really speak up for yourself if you haven't been towards a family member or towards somebody in your life. I mean, there's a lot of harmony right now between new forms of communication or new ways of communicating yourself and how that's showing up in your relationships. Let's see, later in the day on Monday, early on Tuesday, the moon will be challenging Uranus and the sun in your fourth house. So again, there might be some really big need to emotionally shift something in your home or your family related to an identity, related to how you're viewing yourself, that kind of thing. Later in the day on Tuesday, the moon moves into your second house, putting the focus on your money as the sun moves into your fifth house. So there could be some friction or tension between what you're creating, what you're putting out into the world, and how you're making money from it. Either, kind of an avoidance on your part of not wanting to step into this new thing and share it with the world because you're comfortable making money how you have been, but there's this need to expand in your creative pursuits or what you're actually sharing that is a passion of yours. So there could be some breakthrough around that feels challenging at first, but it's like, okay, I really need to take action towards this. Then that's amplified on Thursday as the moon moves over the North Node and Saturn in your second houses. There's this really big need to face the music around your finances, your resources, your money, and how you're taking action to create more of them in your life, to create more money, in your life. It could be related to a relationship and how you're communicating yourself and what you're sharing with the world and putting things out there in the ways that you maybe have been called to but have been procrastinating or just writing off, neglecting. I think this, Saturn moving into Aries is really going to propel you into this new way of sharing yourself or communicating your ideas, what you're doing, and how it's making you money. And it's going to be time to really have a reality check around that. That could begin on Friday as the moon moves over Neptune in your third house, and you might get an emotional look at this before Saturn kind of really asks you to face it head on. That's major focus towards the end of the week. And then later in the day on Friday, the moon will move over Venus and harmonize with Mars in your seventh house. So again, there could be some supportive person that comes in or that really, helps you to see things differently and helps you to step into whatever this is before Saturn moves into your third house and kind of amplifies all of that. There's a big identity shift that's happening through this too, a big need to really just change how you're viewing yourself and your life and start to really just share your passions in ways that you feel called to and get out of the head about it, around it. And that is, going to come to a head on Saturday. Then on Sunday, the moon moves into your fourth house into Taurus. Might be squaring your rising sign as well, or your rising, depending on the degrees of it. So there could be some friction or tension challenges between your home, your family, and your sense of self, your identity that kind of maybe force you to evolve or step into this new sense of self. That could be amplified later in the day on Sunday as the moon continues to move through Taurus and square your first house, and it moves over Uranus and Mercury in your fourth house. There could be some big innovation, breakthrough shift mentally that you realize you need to make in your home or your family life related to all of these changes that have been coming up the whole week. Really, this is like, okay, how do we stabilize this kind of thing? So that's the week ahead for you, Aquarius. Let me know how that resonates. And I will see you next week. Okay, Pisces, we start the week off with the moon in your 12th house opposite Mars in your 6th house. This could be some tension or friction that comes up around your mental and physical health that, propels you to release some big wound emotionally or subconsciously so you can take better care of yourself. Maybe you have a realization about a wound or something that you didn't realize was there and you're needing to hold space for it so that it clears and it doesn't keep running your life in the background. Tuesday, that could be further amplified as the moon squares off with Uranus and the sun in your third house. There could be some big shift around your belief systems, your communication, maybe even like where you're going and who you're talking to on a daily basis as well, related to what came up on Monday. Then on Wednesday, the moon moves into your first house. You might be feeling more sensitive. As the sun moves into your fourth house, there could be a big focus on your home, your family. At first, it might feel like you are at odds with your home and your family and what's going on there, but that's just kind of an emotional release again that needs to happen related to what came up before all of that. Then on Thursday, the moon moves over the North Node and Saturn in your first house. So there could be this big emotional look again at your sense of self, your identity, how you're stepping into a new version of you and how you're showing up in the world and making changes as you need to be able to do that. Maybe even a move, needing to change your physical environment and feel more expanded and more creative in where you're actually living to support this change that's happening in your identity. Then on Friday, the moon moves into your second house and over Neptune, putting the emotional focus on your money, your finances, your resources. You might get some breakthrough around that, or you might have launched something that really starts to gain traction for you financially in a positive way. That is amplified on Saturday. So much is going on Saturday. We have the moon moving over Venus, harmonizing with Mars in your sixth house. So there is, there's a lot of support right now for sharing something that's a creative passion and pursuit, sharing something that, like through your work, that's going to be positively beneficial to your finances and to your money. Saturn will move into your second house on Saturday as well, having you kind of face the music around your money and what you're doing to make it in ways that really feel aligned with you and your spiritual gifts or passions. Also on Saturday, there could be a mental shift or breakthrough around your communication, how you're sharing yourself, how you're sharing your ideas from a grounded place. Saturday is really where it all comes together. Also on Saturday, the sun will be harmonizing with Pluto in your 12th and 4th. The sun will be in your 4th house, harmonizing with Pluto in your 12th house. Putting that support that you've maybe needed or wanted to make the move. It's all coming. The ideas, the people, maybe even the actual house. It's all here to support you in making the transformation that's needed. That's gonna support everything that you're doing and everything you're stepping into in a really big way. That could be amplified on Sunday as the moon moves into your third house, into Taurus. Maybe just has you feeling more emotionally grounded in this new reality and the acceptance of everything that's happened earlier in the week. So that is the week ahead for you, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. This was a long one today. It is a big week ahead. So let me know how your horoscope resonated with you in the comments. Go check out the TikTok video. And I will see you next week. Bye.